We were all sitting together, and all of a sudden one of the girls we were looking on Twitter, and she was like, there was a huge car accident.
Tonight, a community comes to grips with twin tragedies as word of 3 students' deaths spreads throughout social media. Welcome to KOIN 6 News at 11. I'm Ken Bawdy. Friends and families honored the lives of Antonio Caballero, Cooper Hill, and Maddie West, the teenage victims killed Friday and Saturday. Maddie was 18 years old and went to Oregon City High School. She died Friday night in a head-on crash on South Redland Road. A 7-year-old boy in the other car is still fighting for his life tonight after that accident. Then, on Saturday morning, 2 West Linn High School students died in a crash on the Washington side of the Columbia River Gorge. KOIN 6 reporter Chris Holmstrom has been following that story throughout the weekend. Chris.
That's right, Ken, and stories like this are never easy to cover, especially for this West Linn community. But tonight, they're holding on to each other and living the phrase, West Linn strong. Heavy hearts fill the West Linn football field as hundreds paid their respect to 2 of their own.
Everyone's just in shock. No one knows what's going on. Sarah
McKay was friends with both Antonio Caballero and Cooper Hill. She tells me she found out about the crash through social media.
We don't know what's going on, so we called one of the guys who was actually in the car immediately, and he gave us a lot of the details.
Details no one wants to hear. And as the day went on, news quickly spread on Twitter.
I saw Antonio and Cooper rest in peace, and I was just like, whoa, this is really serious.
Sunday night, the West Linn community came together to grieve, a night of candles, tears, and prayers. I found out both students were juniors and great friends. Friends describe Antonio as the life of the party.
He was one of the guys that everyone loved in our grade. He'd walk through the hallways and he'd be just sitting there laughing and always having a smile on his face. And it was just always good to see his face.
The same goes for Cooper. Friends say he was a ray of sunshine and fun to watch on the lacrosse team.
He just always had a smile on his face. Just always a really happy guy, and it was just really heartbreaking to know someone that just happened.
But unfortunately, it's something these kids know all too well. In fact, just last year, junior Maddie Higgins and recent graduate Hayden Soik were also killed in a car crash.
Yeah, it's just too much for this community, for these kids. I feel like kids these ages shouldn't have to be going through this and losing so many friends, and it's just very tragic.
And of course, it'll take some time until these kids fully heal. I'm told there will be grief counselors available at school if needed. Ken, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. And tonight, KOIN has learned that the Skamania County prosecutor has decided that no drivers involved in the crash will be charged with a crime related to that crash. When we told you about this story last night, we reported that drugs or alcohol were involved in the accident that killed those West Linn students. We did get that information from the Washington State Patrol, but now they tell us that's not true. They sent us a release last night detailing what happened and who was involved. And on that release, they say they accidentally told us intoxicants were involved. 3 different members of WSP were investigating the accident, and one found a small amount of marijuana in one of the teenagers' cars. That information was passed along until this morning, when a sergeant said they determined the driver had not been smoking. They and we apologize for the error.